We tend to think of government as just a bunch of rules, but what if we looked at it like a building, a carefully designed piece of architecture with a specific blueprint made to handle pressure and stand the test of time? That's exactly what we're going to dive into today, the design of American democracy. Let's start with the foundations. To really get this, our story doesn't actually start in the 1700s. Nope, we've got to go way, way back, over 2,000 years ago. And this isn't some dry history lesson, I promise. Think of it more like an engineering story about how ancient ideas were retooled for a brand new world. Okay, check this out. It's all about the contrast, right? On one side, you've got these incredible democratic ideals from ancient Athens, but on the other, you have the ridiculously complex problems of today. I mean, seriously, the ancient Greeks never had to worry about cybersecurity or keeping airplanes from crashing into each other, so the US system couldn't just be a simple copy-paste job. It had to be a serious upgrade. So that begs a really important question, doesn't it? If the Athenian model was so great, why didn't the founders just copy it directly? Why go through all the trouble of inventing something new, this whole representative democracy thing? Well, for starters, it was a simple matter of size. Just look at the difference here. Ancient Athens was a city-state. You could actually get all the voting citizens together in one place. But the original 13 colonies, whoa, we're talking a massive, sprawling territory. There was just no way you were going to get everybody to Philly to cast a vote on every single law. It was physically impossible. But it wasn't just about the geography. There was a much deeper philosophical problem. The founders were genuinely scared of something they called the tyranny of the majority. The idea that 51% of the people could just vote to take away the rights of the other 49%. They were also terrified that political groups, what they called factions, would just rip the new country to shreds. Their solution, their big idea, was the representative system. It was designed to be a buffer against those exact dangers. So how did they actually build this buffer? Well, they came up with a design based on 3 powerful separate pillars. This is the absolute core of the whole structure. This 3-part or tripartite structure is everything. They split the power up into 3 co-equal branches: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. The whole point was to make sure no one person, no single group, could ever grab all the power. It was their answer to that fear of tyranny. So let's break down what each of these branches actually does. First up, Pillar 1, the legislative branch. You probably know it as Congress. These are the folks who actually make the laws. You can think of them as the architects, literally drafting the blueprints that shape our society. Then we have Pillar 2, the executive branch. This is headed up by the president, and its job is to take those laws that Congress writes and, execute them, put them into action. It's like the engine of the government, running everything through all its different departments and agencies. And rounding it out is Pillar 3, the judicial branch. This is the whole federal court system, with the Supreme Court sitting at the very top. Their job is absolutely critical. They interpret the laws and make sure that everything, and I mean everything, lines up with the Constitution. They're the ultimate guardians of that foundational document. Okay, so you've got these 3 huge pillars of power. But how do you stop one from getting too strong and knocking the others over? How do you keep it all in balance? Well, this is where the real design genius kicks in. It's all about a system that's built on tension. The first big idea is called separation of powers. The founders got this from a philosopher named Montesquieu, and it's pretty simple, really. Each branch gets its own distinct job. Congress makes the laws, the president enforces them, and the courts interpret them. Everybody stays in their own lane. But, and this is a huge but, here's the brilliant twist. Even though the powers are separate, they're also designed to interlock and, get in each other's way. This is the famous checks and balances system. It's like a set of gears in a machine, intentionally creating friction to keep any one part from spinning out of control. The goal isn't perfect harmony. It's stability because of that tension. Right, that sounds kind of abstract, I know. So what does this checks and balances thing actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a couple of examples. Okay, here's a classic one. Congress passes a new law, but the president can say, nope, not happening, and veto it. That's a check. But wait, it's not over. Congress can then turn around and, if they get enough votes, they can override that veto. See, it's a built-in power struggle, a constitutional tug of war. Or how about this one? The president gets to pick who becomes a federal judge, but the Senate has to approve that person. And once that judge is on the court, they can turn around and declare a law from Congress or an action from the president unconstitutional. It creates this amazing web where everyone is dependent on and can be checked by everyone else. Now, this whole design philosophy, this idea of balance, it doesn't just stop with the government. It actually extends to the country's economic blueprint, too. It's another place where the design tries to manage these competing ideas. See, the US isn't a pure, hands-off, free-for-all capitalist system. Not at all. It's what economists call a mixed economy. Think of it like a spectrum. It's a blend of free market principles on one side and government regulation on the other. So why do that? Why mix it up? Well, the goal is to find that sweet spot, to balance the freedom of individuals with the well-being of the whole country. So the government gets involved to make sure companies compete fairly, to provide things we all need, like roads and schools, and to step in when the economy goes off the rails. It's a constant balancing act. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, you really start to see it, right? This isn't just some list of laws. The American system is this incredibly complex piece of social architecture. It was deliberately designed to handle conflict, spread out power, and, hopefully, to last a very long time. And that right there is the key takeaway. This thing isn't supposed to be some static monument sitting in a museum. The whole point of the blueprint was to create a living structure, something that could actually adapt and change to deal with all the crazy new challenges the world throws at it. Which brings us to one last really big question for you to think about. This amazing blueprint was created for a world of horse-drawn carriages and letters written with quill pens. Now that we're facing the challenges of the 21st century, what changes, what renovations does this old structure need to make sure it's still standing strong for generations to come?